Hello, I'm John Brink, and we are podcasting on the Brink from downtown Prince George. And again, today we have an amazing guest, and her name is Daryl Bouchard. Did I say that correctly, Daryl?
You did. Not a common name for a female.
Yes, and you are from BC, and we'll talk about that in a little bit as well. But you're from BC and you live in Victoria, and you are a certified holistic and natural
Nutritionist. Yeah.
nutritionist.
Yeah.
So, difficult word, for I had to kind of check it out and kind of saying, what is that? And we'll talk about that a little bit as well. First, tell us a little bit about you, your background. Were you born in BC and in the region where you are now?
I'm actually not from BC. I was born in Pointe-Claire, Quebec. I'm a little Frenchy. It's close to Montreal.
Okay,
Uh, and then I've lived pretty much in most provinces in Canada because I was military before. My family was also military, so I moved around with my mom quite a bit growing up, and then I joined the military for 9 years, to which I also moved around quite a bit. And then my last posting was in Victoria, BC. And then when I got out of the military and started my business, I just stayed here because I loved it so much.
yeah. So you were in the military for 9 years. Were you Army then or
I was in the Navy.
in the Navy?
Yeah.
So you did a lot of traveling as well then during the
I
Navy?
did I did a couple deployments, nothing too major. I was for most of the my career I was in finance, so there's a lot of ground postings for that. So
Right.
I was fortunate enough to get those because Navy sailing is not always the best.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So what brought you to? And I spent 2 years in the Air Force. I was born in Holland,
Okay.
and then when I was 18, it was mandatory at that point to be in either the Army, Air Force, or the Navy. And I chose or was looking to be in the Air Force. Wanted to be a pilot, but that didn't happen. So I was Air Force Police and Security for a
Okay.
little over 2 years. So
Okay.
good experience, the especially at the time that you're 18 and kind of trying to figure out where you go from there, what your life will look like.
Yes.
So what brought you to the Army or the Navy? Was it your family's involvement before that kind of motivated you?
My mom was Air Force and my stepdad was Navy. So I just went with Navy. I also wanted to live on a coast, which either Halifax or Victoria is usually what you get if you're in
Right.
the Navy. And I got both. So very fortunate to have lived in both areas.
And then did you? So you kind of then thought it's changed for to make the decision to change my career. Was that how you shifted, or to become entrepreneurial?
Oh, to become a nutritionist.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I joined when I was pretty young. I didn't really know what I wanted to do, so I just did something. And then I just realized over the course of 9 years that it just didn't align with what I wanted to do anymore. So I followed my heart and I decided to go back to school, get an education into something that I was passionate about and something that I felt that I would be able to apply more with one-on-one work. I think
Right.
I joined the military because I want to serve in a way and to help, but I just didn't quite know what that looked like for me. And
Right.
I wasn't getting that with the military. And
Right.
I just said, you know what, I'm going to do something I'm passionate about. I've always been passionate about health and wellness. So I went that route for myself.
Yeah, and looking at some of your background, have also been very active in the gym and fitness
Yes.
in that way. And I saw some posing pictures of you. Were you competing then?
I did. I did a few. I was a big runner, and then I shifted to a lot of sports. I played competitive sports with the military, soccer, volleyball, and then when I transitioned out, I also did some bodybuilding competitions. I just like to push myself and try new things. I believe you've done bodybuilding, correct?
I did. I still
Yeah.
do. I still do now, actually.
Oh, wow.
So I'm going to be 83 in 3 months from now, November the 1st.
Oh my
And,
goodness.
which makes me the oldest competitive bodybuilder in North America, actually.
I love that.
Amazingly, I was competitive, and well, still getting ready for competition. Hopefully in '84, I
Okay.
competed in 2017, 18, and kind of classified here bodybuilding. Came in second bodybuilding, third in physique. Qualified me for the provincials. Came third in
Yeah.
physique, second in bodybuilding, which qualified me for the nationals and the Arnolds. And
Oh, right on. That's great.
so, like you, I need to have a goal that's kind of and kind of became more alert about physical fitness when I had a bit of a scare at one point in my life. I think it was in 2008 when I got a case of diverticulitis, that where you have a breach and that it can be very serious if you do not get something done about it. So I got an operation and just in time, and it kind of gave me a bit of a signal that I should be more proactive about my diet and in earnest go again to the gym. And so
Yeah.
hired a trainer and started then working in a serious way on both physical health and diet. And I did that for
Yeah.
about 5, 6, 7 years. And then one day somebody said, "Have you ever thought about going to compete?" And I said, "Me, really?" And that
Yeah.
kind of triggered it and say, "Well, why not?" And then gradually went from there, and then became more serious about it and started competing. After about 7, 8, 9 years, and then obviously did well, and then unfortunately COVID came, and so now I'm back going to the gym and getting ready to again start competing in 2024
Okay.
as a
Okay.
goal. It makes me go to
Yeah.
the gym, and I have a goal. It makes me watch my diet very closely, and and at the same time, stay physically fit.
Yeah. That's great. It's nice to have something to work towards and you find a little bit more motivation.
Exactly. And the other thing that it did, it kind of motivated me also in terms of so many people are already at a young age have decided that they are too old and to do really anything in terms of physical and mental fitness and diet and I kind of thought I should write about it, and hence the
Yeah.
book Living Young, Dying Old. And again, that deals with all the issues around it and being very, very proactive about
That's great.
diet and taking a different approach. So,
Totally. Yeah.
so just to give you a little bit of background on that part, so I have a medical doctor that I work with, but also a naturopathic doc. Actually, they are partners, and so my wife is vegan, very conscientious about diet. So she will really like on this podcast, because we are going to talk about a lot of those issues.
Yeah.
And I call myself an 80/20. So and try to be proactive in terms of my diet and fitness, obviously, but also in terms of other things that are related to it. And as you well
Yeah.
know, and as you already, as part of your profession, you already deal with a lot of other things that are associated to that. So maybe we
Absolutely.
can talk about that a bit in terms of what does it really mean in your particular profession, of what makes you different from naturopathic approach, medical approach, or diets, or being, proactive in the different areas, because there is so much information for a lot of people that it becomes very, very confusing a lot of times.
It does. I actually work pretty closely with naturopaths if I need to send clients for labs. I would say naturopathic doctors and holistic nutritionists are in the same element in terms of, trying to take a more natural approach to health and wellness, and ideally prevent disease. So not get to the doctor's office, but rather take the steps ahead of that before we get there, essentially. And I mean, I personally only work with women right now. I do specialize in hormonal health. Lots of um, variety there, but I do think that I need to be an expert in one field, and hence why for now I'm only working with women. And I think that what makes me different may be that I'm a little bit more realistic. I try to listen to where the client is at and meet them halfway. So it's one thing to prescribe specific diet, but if it's not sustainable, they're not going to be successful. So for me, the most important thing is that the clients are successful after me. It's great if they have great results with me, but if they fail after, I've failed. I haven't done
Right,
my job right. So the
right.
primary focus with me is education. So they know this when they come to me. They're not going to get a cookie cutter program. They're not going to get something to follow that's easy. We work together to build meals. We work together to understand ingredients. We work together to read labels and decipher marketing tactics. I even have grocery shopping classes where I take clients one on one and talk about all that. So the primary focus with me is education. And I think that that's what's sets me apart.
Right. And a lot of that is online, Daryl, that you do then, or is it person to person, or?
Yeah, so I have options for person to person for local Victoria, but I am currently worldwide right now,
Yeah.
online.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
you were in, as you well know, like including our podcast is being seen worldwide. Something that was not hard to imagine 5, 10 years ago, but more and
Hmm.
more, partially because of COVID, likely, as one of the reasons is that the online boundaries go far beyond the countries, and so
Absolutely.
does the business really, and the opportunities.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think it's word to mouth as well, right? It's so easy to find transformations online, and then people share and reshare stories, and then you just all of a sudden you have people from the UK messaging you to work with you. I just had one this morning, and I was like, oh my goodness, this is crazy to be able to connect with people all over the world, and to possibly have a positive impact on people I will never physically meet. I'm helping their spirit and their health, but I'm not seeing their physical body, which is still crazy to me to think.
Yeah. On the other hand, though, like in my podcasting, we do podcasting with guests from Central Europe. We have had them
Love
from
that.
Sweden. From on our podcasting. The
Yeah, that's great.
in where initially with the podcasting we did a lot of it regional here
Mhm.
mainly, then more and more virtual, and virtual like ours is working very, very well because once we watch our virtual programs, they are virtually no different than the person ones we have, person to person. The quality equally as good. So we shift, as you will see once the program is done, we shift from being both on the picture to being one direct. On the other hand, we have cameras in different locations, and it is working very, very well for us. Actually, I thought
That's
about the
great.
idea at one point to set up. I have some properties in both Victoria and in Vancouver in Yaletown, but it works so well here with the virtual that we can do it just as well from here as we could there. But here
Totally.
we have a studio all around us that we have developed.
Why not? Why not connect with people outside of our region, right?
Exactly, exactly. So the other area that I'm particularly interested in, then, how do you contact your clients? Mainly through contacts through the web, more or less.
Yes, so I essentially built my entire business on Instagram, which is also crazy to think about. And it was word to mouth, essentially. I started about 5 years ago now, I would say. I was still in the military, so I was serving full time and started my online business. And then, like I said, just word to mouth. And it kind of exploded. And now I don't, I post and share progress, but clients tend to reach out to me now, which I'm very fortunate for.
Yeah, and once you build up the base and once you get well known, still,
Yeah.
are you on Facebook too, or some of the other ones, or mainly Instagram?
Yeah, I use Facebook a little bit. I'm on LinkedIn. I use YouTube as well. I
Right.
also started my own podcast, so I'm on Substack as well. So just a couple platforms, but primarily built my entire business on Instagram. Yeah.
Right, right. And podcasting again, is very, very popular now, and especially as
Yeah.
as they dealing with issues where your specialty is, it's very, very popular.
Yes. Yeah.
On my podcasting, we do a variety of guests that go the whole sphere, as you know from yourself, and forest industry, ADHD is another one, but also all kinds of other issues that we find of interest to our visitors right around the world, and we are actively looking for more contacts all over the world, and outside of North America and Europe and other places. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. A lot of variety on your episodes. I took a look before we connected. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit more about your specialty and the. For me, my experience with naturopathic doctors has been a good one because my wife usually believes in that natural approach and is very proactive in gaining knowledge about all the medical things that are out there, but in particular the healthy ones, in being proactive as a person yourself in terms of both diet and and getting advice, and then being naturopathic, or the naturopathic path, and being vegan. I kind of developed that alongside with her because that's
Yeah,
what we do.
that's great. Yeah.
And so then it becomes a question of what more, or where can you be proactive? So if I looked at your list, you go much further than just the medical aspects of it, but also diet and advice in terms of that you may get from your clients or your customers.
Is your question what is my approach?
Yes,
Sorry, I'm trying.
yes,
Yeah, okay. Well, a holistic is mind, body, soul, right? And it's not just it's not just one thing. It's not just nutrition. It's not just exercise. It's not just, things such as your relationships and the people you surround yourself. It's everything. It's the entire picture. A holistic health is everything. Because if you have great nutrition, but you have really poor surroundings, then it's going to be difficult to always be good with your nutrition if your partner or your friends are not positive influences on you. So it's about setting boundaries, staying aligned with who you are and what you want to be or where you want to go, and aligning all aspects of your life to fit that goal in that journey. So that is what I work on with clients. Obviously, it's a slow process because you can't just change everything in 1 week. And I also have to pay attention to where my clients are at and what is realistic for them as well. And we work week by week slowly to tweak habits and to make sure that by the time we're done together, that they have reached where they want to be mentally and physically. And if they have not, they know how to continue to do so as well. So mental health is a very important piece in this. We can diet all we want and look great, as you know, with bodybuilding. But what's going on in your head? And are you building habits that are going to allow you to be healthy and sustainably healthy long term to improve your health, your quality of life, and longevity? That's the goal.
Yeah, that comes kind of to my book that I'm doing now as we speak, actually, is saying living young, dying old. And all it means really is that, to have a lifestyle, that physically, mentally, health-wise, in terms of understanding the path that you be most successful, to be healthy as long as you can be, physically, mentally, and not just the number. Age is just a number, but lifestyle, the sooner you become knowledgeable or accept being knowledgeable, and then get the right guidance, makes a huge difference. And
Absolutely. Education builds confidence, right? Once we know, we don't question anything. Things we see on social media, we'll just know they're incorrect, or they're for marketing, or they're trying to sell you something, because we have the education. So again, that's a big focus with my clients, is to provide the education so that they can move forward in this confusing nutrition world with confidence.
it is really, because for the lay persons that do not have access other than to the web, it is so confusing for a lot of
confusing.
People, that it then becomes a question: how possibly can you gain the most experience or most knowledge that can guide you on the way towards having a direction that you can tweak? But a lot of it is just knowing the right information.
Absolutely. I think doing our own research, I'm a big advocate of self-research and building your own thoughts and opinions by doing your own research as well. And then if that is not feasible, or there's no time to get the education, then it's very important to do your research on which kind of coach you want to hire if you're looking to go that route as well. Because unfortunately, nutrition is not taught in school. I didn't get nutrition classes in high school, or before that. I never did. I had to go and get nutrition education. So I think we have a responsibility to do that as well.
Yeah, and they didn't during the time I went to school either. That's a long time ago, So but it has become more and more people have become aware of their personal health, and then obviously the with the invention of the web and the computers and all the technology, that has become much more accessible to the public and at large than it was before. But even then, still, at least in my mind, they are still not doing as much as they can do in the schooling or and even then the fitness areas, that on a
Absolutely.
community basis, in my opinion. Yeah.
I agree. I agree. I think that if we had nutrition education within our schools, we would have a much more healthy population. Imagine if they removed or split the playground with farming, with learning how to grow vegetables and plants and educate children on how to grow their own food. I think we would be in a very different place in terms of health.
Yeah, and also from a cost perspective,
Absolutely.
if you look at the grocery stores, it's usually predictable in a grocery store. I seldom go to the center aisles because that's
Hmm.
not where the food is that we are looking for, really.
No.
And but the so it is getting the right information, and in
Yes.
terms of you see so many people that same as fitness, really, that if you spend as much as, you don't necessarily have to become an Olympian or go for what I'm doing, bodybuilding or bikini or whatever you want to do for physical fitness, as long as you become active maybe 20-30 minutes a day, may it be walking or keeping your body active, combining it
Absolutely.
with avoiding the obvious, then that's already a step in the right direction.
Absolutely. Health looks different for everyone, right? You don't have to be an Olympian to be healthy. Just go walk outside every day, go
Yeah,
hiking,
yeah,
spend time in nature, move your body, sweat a little bit, eat
yeah,
whole foods,
yeah. Ride a
right?
bike or all of that
Yeah.
sort of thing, right? So
Yes.
so if you then look at, obviously a lot of stuff has changed already before COVID, but especially because of COVID, likely, we become likely more proactive about health and wellness. How do you see things going forward for health? Fitness is becoming much more active in terms of finding coaches online and on the
Hmm.
online businesses that are being created because of it.
Hmm.
You see that moving further in that direction?
Do I see more coaches
Yeah,
coming
and
to
more
life?
being
Yeah,
more proactive. Yeah, in the public.
possibly. I think honestly, I think it's just going to get a little bit more confusing, to be honest. I think that there's just too much noise right now. There's a lot of I think there's just too much. I think it's going to become more confusing, unfortunately. I do believe that COVID made people more aware and proactive to do their own research, but I do still feel that the nutrition world is quite bombarded from different sides and different opinions, and that's what happens. Unfortunately, is we get information on social media that is more opinion based as opposed to research based, and there's a very big difference there. So I personally think it's going to get more confusing, unfortunately, which is why, again, is so important for us to do our due diligence and get education in this field. Nutrition is, I'm biased because it's my field, but I think it's the number one thing to prevent chronic disease.
Yeah, and so much so, right? Because especially here, I was reading some articles here last week or so that an example is cancer,
Mm.
and obviously one of the biggest concerns, for the public at large. But in places in Asia, it virtually does not occur at all,
Hmm.
and partially likely because of diet. At least that was the suggestion in the article.
Yeah, there are definitely many hypotheses there, but I think diet. There's hereditariness to it, but how our genes are expressed is a whole other topic, and nutrition and lifestyle plays a big role into how our genes are expressed.
Right. So so if for me, what I do normally is that, from your perspective, I'm active in the gym, about 5-10 hours a week, closer to 5-6 maybe. If I get closer to competition, then I pick that up to probably close to 10 hours a week. I'm being very careful with my diet. I don't smoke, I don't drink alcohol, I don't do drugs, bad drugs. I may have an Advil or something like that. And then in terms of diet, I'm about 100 kilos, but I'm in good. I'm fit, and I eat usually 4 eggs in the morning and an avocado. Then mid-morning I do a protein drink, Boost. I bought it at Costco because it keeps easy for me to have it close by. I usually have at lunchtime. I usually have vegetable soup that has nothing else in it than all vegetable-based soup. And then in the evening, depending on if I'm building up for working out, I a lot of times have a lot of green and salad, but then sometimes I have to take in more protein to build muscle for getting ready for competition. But
Absolutely.
I don't drink milk, not for any other reason that my wife doesn't do dairy at all, and and we eat a lot of fruit, so that's kind of what I do, and I like it, because contrary to what some people think, is that if you're on diet or you're very conscientious about your diet, it does not mean that it does not have to taste good. It can do all of that in combination with, and the results of it, are usually very significant.
Absolutely. Yeah. Whole foods based nutrition doesn't need to be boring. It just takes a little bit of time. But that time is directly invested into you. If you take the time to make foods that you love, you probably won't binge as much on the weekend because you're actually happy with all the foods that you're eating throughout your week.
And that's very, and it then acquires a lifestyle that once you fall into it or accept it as that is feeling good and is good for you, then from there and then you get used to it, and
Absolutely.
and that's good. The same with exercise, physical exercise. You don't have to go to the gym, and I'm not saying you should not go to the gym, but you may go to the gym, you may enjoy what you're doing. I do usually go to the gym. It's good for me physically, and then when I get closer to going, in my case, to competition, I pick up the pace and I make some adjustments to my diet, and it's usually very rewarding because most of the time you feel good.
Absolutely. Yeah. We are in charge of our motivation, right? So going to the gym is going to motivate you to eat well. They just go together. And every time we make a decision that is proactive towards our health, it continues to trickle, right? So you eat well, you go to the gym. Well, you probably don't feel like eating like crap after going to the gym, right? So you're just going to propel that way. And the endorphin release and the dopamine release you get from training is unmatched.
Yeah. And then usually when, after I work out, I have a protein drink, and especially for the purpose of working out afterwards. And, and then, so I'm conscientious of my diet.
That's great.
And I like it. I enjoy it. I have no particular interest in eating foods that I know are not good for me, and so becoming aware is so important in terms of moving forward from there. That's another reason that the book and living young, dying old. And and being fit at an older age, mentally, physically, and and still being active is very, very important.
Absolutely. And you can change that at any age. I have women who start working with me, at age 50 or 55 to 60, all ranges, but they have never worked out in their lives before, and they just start, they try.
Yeah.
Right.
And I agree with you because, for myself, I started working out in earnest after 2008 when I got a scare. I nearly died. Then after that, the habit of going to the gym it's a commitment you make every year end, and you're gonna go. You do it for 2 weeks, and then you're too busy, and you forget about it until the next year. So then I knew I had to change, and do that and becoming more serious about it. And then that kind of followed going to the gym and enjoying it with a trainer for about 6-7 years until somebody said, why don't you go compete? And by then, I already was 68. And when I was competing, for the provincials and the nationals, I was in my 70s.
That's crazy. Good for you. That's amazing. But it's just a great example of taking ownership of our health, right? Nobody's going to do it for us. Sometimes there's circumstances where people are just very unlucky, right? They're born with children who are born with type 2 diabetes or leukemia or whatever it may be.
Obviously.
But typically there is a road to chronic disease, and we have a responsibility to mitigate that. Or if we get a diagnosis, we have a responsibility from there to work with a naturopath and a doctor to try and figure out what's going on, and drastically change our lifestyle, because obviously we are in a place that we have put ourselves in due to our lifestyle habits. And that sounds like exactly what you did. You took ownership of your health and decided to make a change. And that opened several new doors for you. You just started working out, and all of a sudden you're competing in bodybuilding. That's amazing.
Yeah, and starting to feel good, and then being aware of diet, and then showing the results. Really, I've had people say to me that if they see pictures of me 20 years ago, 25 years ago, I look much younger today than I did then. And those are all part of the results, right? And then the other part that I was fortunate, Daryl, is that my wife is very proactive. And and very into being informed, and spends a lot of time looking at the different things to be healthy. And then it took some time for me to come on board on all those things. But she is very, very proactive. At the same time, then the other part that I did already then. Well, then for me, was probably in my mid 60s. I did, for the medical system, unfortunately here is very good, but it leaves a lot over to being proactive and becoming aware yourself. Nobody can know your body better than you. Becoming informed and being proactive in that area, extremely important. And so what I did, I acquired the ability to get what I call a bumper-to-bumper annual checkup, and to buy that, because that was difficult to get through the medical system. And I did that for quite a number of years, and it helped me. And then at the same time now, I have, and again, being fortunate in a way, I have a medical doctor, and I have a naturopathic doctor, and so it allows me then to be proactive on the knowledge side in terms of diet, and physical fitness and mental fitness as well. And then staying very proactive for me. I started writing books actually about 4 or 5 years ago. So I was in my late 70s. This book here, it took me 80 years to live it, 20 years to think about it, and then 2 years to write it. So now what I want to do is write a book every year. So and
Oh, that's great.
yeah, I enjoy it.
Yeah,
So
that's good. Keeping your brain active.
and that's the other part about it, because it's
Yeah.
a combination of all those things, right? It's
Hmm.
physical fitness, mental fitness, being aware of your diet, and then at the same time having access to coaches like you
Hmm.
are in your field is very helpful in terms of, getting guidance in areas where
Yeah,
somebody wants to just making sure they are doing the right thing and what else can they do. That
totally.
information is readily available as well.
Yeah, yeah. It's teamwork, right?
Yeah. So the so are you podcasting already now, or are you thinking about starting to do that?
I already am. Yes, I started about a week and a half ago. I
Okay.
started with a good friend of mine. He's a nutritional therapist up in New York. He has a master's degree in clinical nutrition, and we talk all things nutrition and science and biohacking.
Is he
Um,
is he Adam?
no, his name's Jay.
Oh, okay. Because I read, another friend that you have that.
Oh, yes. My the bio I sent you a little brief description. So Adam Geric, I work hand in hand with him every year, and that's a separate project. This is a pro bono project of mine. I really wanted to get into my community this year, so I decided to team up with Adam Geric. He's the owner of Transform Sports Hockey Academy, and he takes in youth athletes and provides them education on ice and off ice. But they were missing a little nutrition component. So I came in, and it's a 6 week nutrition course component for these youth athletes, anywhere between, I would say, 13 to 16, to just tie in everything that they're doing there. And I wanted to make sure that I was doing this without receiving anything. I just wanted to give back to my community.
Right.
Um, and it's been great.
And that was in Victoria. Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
So
Yep.
well, you're very busy too, and in somewhat entrepreneurial, not only in those areas, but podcasting is. I found it to be, very very rewarding, and
Yes.
and especially the topics, and as you already have seen from some of the ones that we are doing here, have been a variety of topics
Yeah.
right across the whole spectrum. So we're trying to
Yeah.
build them more on the international level,
Yep.
and and I really enjoy it. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it allows us to stay current as well. When we have more conversations and more human connection, we get different points of views and perspectives, and I think that's important, to interact in a different way from just our day to day, seeing the same people over and over again. This allows us to connect with people all over the world.
Yeah. No, for sure.
Yeah.
So, what else advice can you give my viewers here, in a general sense of to, just healthy living for those that have really not started to involve
Mm.
any coaches, or are kind of looking, and the question
Yeah.
that I get a lot of times from people is say, well, what should I do, or how do I go about, finding out or becoming active?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the first thing is, get out of your own way,
Yeah.
right? Try
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
It might open the door for something else, and it might not. And then you try something else. And if that means going back to school to learn a little bit more, or hiring a coach, and it might not work with your first coach, you might have to hire again. That's just the same thing as when you're shopping for a therapist or a psychologist. Sometimes it doesn't click. Doesn't mean you stop,
It has to
because
be a
your mental
fit,
health is
right?
important. Perfect. Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. So I think getting out of our own way, and also taking responsibility, and not just thinking, I am this way and I cannot change anything. Yes, you can. You
Yeah.
just have to try. And you have to
Yeah.
ask for help, and you have to work hard, expect to work hard, but get out of your own way.
Yeah. We have so many people that are young, relatively speaking, that are basically not healthy, and a lot of times
I
it's
know.
lifestyle, right? So
Yes.
and then not realizing a lot of times that the road that you are on is not a healthy one. It certainly will
No.
not. It may make you fair age or maybe the average age, but that's not what it is all about. It's about quality of life. It's not about the number.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah,
and
and
the,
it will lead you to chronic disease, no doubt about it. If you're not living a healthy lifestyle, you will develop some sort of chronic disease. And also, as you mentioned, are you enjoying your time on this planet? Are you aching all over the place? Are you able to walk up a flight of stairs? Are you able to spend quality time with your kids and not be exhausted? I think being healthy is important, but also being happy while you are healthy is important as
yeah,
well.
yeah,
So from a nutrition point of view, I know I mentioned, get out of your own way being my number one kind of advice. But from nutrition side, I think the biggest thing that I recommend with my own clients is eat as many whole foods as possible.
right,
Stay away from anything that comes from a bag, a box, a can, as
yeah,
much as possible.
yeah,
Those should be fill-ins,
yeah,
right? In case of a pinch or sporadically throughout your week. 80% whole foods, whatever that looks like for you in terms of diet, whether you're vegan or not. And then the rest, okay, maybe a little bit of those boxed canned items, and again just getting really familiar with flipping over the box and reading what is actually in that product. If there are 10 ingredients in there that you don't understand, probably not really food. It's edible, but it doesn't mean that it's food.
yeah. And a lot of information is misleading. It's not maybe intended to be. Maybe it is. But as you pointed out with the, I forgot now what you showed is the, where it shows that but it's in the but it's
Yeah.
being it just isn't what it looks like it is,
No. Yeah.
and it's
Yeah.
misleading. The other thing that I think is important, I'm going to show you a sign here, and I'm not going to tell you too much of the story. It's in the book. We'll send you a copy of the book, but that's
Yeah.
what I believe. It's kind of the foundation of my life. Is this one says $25.47. That's what I had with me when I came to Canada in July 1965, and I landed here in Prince George with the dream of building a lumber mill. I couldn't speak the language, didn't know a soul, and I couldn't and didn't have a job. But what I put underneath it is that is even more important is that applies to all the things that we do, and certainly applies to me on a daily basis, is attitude, avoid the negative, passion, find something you love and you're committed to. If you're doing something you don't like it, change. Because no matter what your age is, because you're not going to be very happy, and if you're not very happy, people don't like to be around you,
Yeah.
and then the other one is work ethic, so
Yes.
so attitude, passion, work ethic, what follows is success. And
Absolutely.
I believe in that, and that opportunities are always available, for staying active and looking at other opportunities that may present itself, either hobbies or whatever you want to do. Stay proactive mentally and physically, and then age is just a number a lot of times, but it's all about fitness and being physically healthy, and being able to do things even there is no reason for anybody not to, even in the 80s. Like I'm an example of that. Not being active. I can run circles around a lot of people and still get up at 5:30 in the morning, always make my bed when I get up, probably work 12 hours a day, and I enjoy it.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
and that's, to me, what is very, very important. But the other part
Yes.
of it is the things that we talked about it today, and are very, very important. And I will sign the book for you, and I will get you a copy of the new book, and I'd like to stay in
Well, that's
touch with
great.
you. And if there's an opportunity, that if I'm in Victoria, to maybe get together for a coffee or lunch or something,
Yeah,
being able to give you a call and say, hey, let's stay in touch.
absolutely. I would love that. I'm a big coffee drinker.
Okay, good. So I'll give you a call in the next couple of weeks, and then kind of keep you informed on the book that I'm doing, Living Young, Dying Old, and maybe get you to write a little piece for me. We'll be interviewing about 12 people that have different ideas on how to stay fit and healthy and live longer, right?
I would love that. Yeah, absolutely. It would be an honor.
Excellent, Daryl.
Okay.
It was my pleasure to have you as a guest in this
Well, thank you so
podcast,
much for having me. I
and
really appreciate it.
and we'll stay in touch.
Okay. Take
Thanks,
care.
thanks, Daryl. You too.